Hello, Israel. I want to give honor and glory to the Most High before I begin this message. I'd like to share with you dreams that I had before my baptism and dream I had after I was baptized. I had a message or a YouTube video before in regards to certain dreams that I had. So I want to go ahead and share my dreams that I had before I was baptized and dreams I had after I was baptized. So the first dream I had before I was baptized, I was just concerned because I really wanted to be baptized, and I didn't know spiritually if I was ready because I was walking in sin. And when you get baptized, you got to take that serious. That's not anything to play with. But God gave me a sense of peace to basically say, get baptized. But prior to the baptism, I had a dream. And I was standing on this mountain. I don't know exactly where I was at, but I want to say somewhere in the Middle East. I was standing on this really tall mountain, and there was sand and brown dirt, kind of, sort of. That's kind of like I think how the ground was. But anyways, I'm standing on this big, huge mountain, and I'm looking down over this mountain. I'm not trying to make any comparison, but it was one of them mountains that you could just see miles. You had a really clear vision of the landscaping. It was just huge. So I'm standing on this mountain, and I'm looking over. And as I'm looking down over, and it's like, I don't want to make comparison, but it was like a mountain as if like Moses was standing on, and he could see way down over what the people were doing when they became corrupt while he was up in the mountains speaking to the Lord. And I see all these people down there, and they're just committing sin. They're fornicating. They're having sex. I mean, orgies, and it was just horrible. And they were drinking, and women had their clothes off, and men rubbing and kissing all over them, and they're just laughing, and it was just sickening. And the type of day it was, the sun was out. And you could hear music playing, but it was more like flutes and different types of things, which is weird. And I'm at this mountain, I'm yelling and I'm screaming. And I'm trying to tell these people, you better stop doing what you're doing. Jesus is coming. He doesn't like what you're doing. Stop doing this. Nobody, it was like I was nothing standing there. Nobody heard me. Nobody could see me. Nobody paid me not a bit attention. So as I look up, I see the clouds start getting dark gray. And I could hear this rumbling like thunder. And where the sun was shining, the clouds were coming from the right and the left, and they were meeting in the center. As if like a big, huge storm was coming, and you could slowly see them drifting together. And I can hear the rumble. The ground started shaking. And then all of a sudden people started screaming, and I'm like, I'm trying to tell you, the Lord's coming. So as I'm looking up in the sky, right as the clouds are meeting together, and I mean, it was cracking, and it was thundering, and it was roaring, and I could feel the trembling of the earth on my feet, and you could actually see the sand shaking as if like it was an earthquake, and pebbles and rocks just jumping. And as I look up in the sky, this beam of the most beautiful light, not of sun, big, huge beam white ray. And I could see the Lord, it was Jesus, coming through. And I looked up, and I knew it was him because I couldn't look at his face. But he's floating towards me from in between those two clouds with this big beam array behind him. I would not look at his face, like I said, but he was dressed in this white cloth wrapped around his body. And the moment I seen that, I could see the cloth and I could see his arms. And then I started putting my head down because I have to give so much glory and respect that I couldn't even look at him. So I started putting my head down, and he's coming and he's drifting straight towards me. And then he's like, how you want to say? I'll just say he's still drifting. And he's floating. But as he's floating towards me. And then all of a sudden he's standing right in front of me. His feet touches the ground. And I put my head down. And like I'm bowing towards him. And I put my hands down on the ground and my knees. And I can remember seeing his feet. They were this beautiful copper bronze color. And he had these leather strapped sandals on, like gladiators sandals back in the Roman days. They were this thick brown, chocolate brown. And I just remember seeing his feet. It was like a brand new copper penny, bronze. It was just beautiful. But at that time, I was so nervous and I was so scared. I'm like, oh boy. And the first thing I said to him, I says, Lord, please forgive me that I am not baptized. And I remember him taking his full palm hand, 5 fingers, and he placed it over top of my head with his palm on my forehead. And his exact words, I'll never forget it. He said, Shelly, don't you worry. Everything is going to be okay. And when he placed his hand on my forehead and my head, my whole entire body buckled down and I hit the ground. It was like a baby calf being born that could not get their feet together. That's how weak my knees and my whole entire body just went limp. Boom. And I hit the dust. I hit hard. And I was out. Passed out. And that was it for that. I carried that feeling with me for days. I mean, even up to this point. And it's been over 25 years, I think, that I've been baptized. So that was a dream before I got baptized. So I ended up getting baptized after that. All glory and honor to the Most High. Okay. So now, let me tell you a dream after I got baptized. Because I had a dream before, and then I had a dream after I got baptized. So the dream I had after I had gotten baptized, I'm sleeping, and in my dream, I'm in this jungle, forest, whatever you want to call it. But it was like paradise. It was just beautiful. Now, mind you, standing in front of me, if you see a dinner table, you know, the picture of the Last Supper with Lord sitting at the table. So I just want you to get in your head a clear image of a table like that. Okay? But the only thing that's different with this table was about 30 feet high. That's what I said, 30 feet high. So the table is sitting in this paradise looking place. Okay? Now it's on the ground, there's grass and so forth. The area is cleared out for this table. It's cleared out. So as I'm looking at this table, to the left of this table, you have this big, huge, 50 feet or 100 feet high waterfall coming down the left side if you look to the left. And you could hear the water with the mists, but there was colors in this water. There were certain colors in it. It was like rainbow. Now back to the table, get this image. As a human being, I'm 5'3". And I'm standing up, and my head is arched back as if like you're looking to the sky, and I'm looking at this table. When I turned to the right of this table, there was no ending to it. This table just went forever. But I remember the cloth, the tablecloth that was on this table. It was a midnight blue satin. Now, as I'm standing here, the draping of the cloth was standing in front of me. I couldn't see the legs underneath it. But for some reason or another, I knew on top of this table, there was this beauty. I don't know how I seen it, but this is the image I had in my head, even though I couldn't visually see it up on top of this table because it was 30 feet high or higher. But I knew on top of this table, it was placed for a magnificent dinner. Beautiful white plates, porcelain with red trimming, beautiful silverware, shiny, sterling silver, a silver that I've never seen, that it just sparkled. Nobody was sitting at these tables. Nobody was sitting. There were no chairs, but I can remember. But it was this dinner set up, okay? And I'm standing there, and there's people standing alongside of me to my right and to my left. And we're all looking up at this satin that's just hanging off of the cloth of the table. And it's right in front of me. I didn't touch it or anything like that. And all of a sudden, this voice in heaven just comes out and says, "Those of you that are worthy may drink of this, and those of you that are not cannot." I will never forget those words. Never, ever. I repeat, the voice in heaven, and it was loud like thunder, like you read in the Bible. I didn't see anybody, but you knew this was the good Lord talking. You knew this was our Father in heaven talking. He said, "Those of you that are worthy may drink of this, and those of you that are not cannot." Now, this blue satin tablecloth that was dangling in front of me turned into a trickling water. Where it hanged over, the cloth disappeared, and it was just water trickling down. And again, there were people on the left of me. And I'm looking over. But spiritually, my mind told me, through communication, I don't know, I just stepped up to it, and I opened up my mouth. And that water hit my tongue, hit the back of my throat. Now, it wasn't forceful. It was trickling enough, as if like if it rained outside, you know, kids used to do, you'd open up your mouth trying to catch the rain. And that's what I did. But when this water entered my mouth and it hit the back of my throat, this was the best tasting water I ever had in my entire life. There is no, I can't even compare the water that you drink, because it's a taste that I can't even describe. But this is what I do know. When that water hit my throat and it went into my system, my whole body had some type of cleansing that I can't even explain. It went through my soul. It went through my spirit. I was just a whole different inner spiritual person. And I know this is the cleansing of the baptism, is how I'm interpreting it. But there was people standing next to me that did not drink of it. There were some that did, but there were some that didn't. So that is the second dream that I had of being baptized and not being baptized. So the first one was before I got baptized, and the second one is when I did get baptized. I will never forget that table. I will never forget that cloth. I will never forget that waterfall. And I will never forget the sensation and the feeling spiritually that went through my whole entire body after drinking that water. Okay, Israel, thank you for listening. I did my best to interpret my dreams. Hope I didn't confuse anybody. I stumble on my words from time to time, but I did try to clear it up. So, again, thank you for listening, and God bless.